actual theory of computation. So what we are going to see in TOC is finite automata today. Yeah, already first I'll rush up the things whatever we have discussed in last class, so that proofs, types of proofs. Under the types of proofs, there are two types available. Direct proof we have covered and also indirect proof we have covered. So what is the form of direct proof we have seen is, if the given statement P is true, then what we want to do is we want to prove that the given statement Q is also true. This is a form of direct proof. In the indirect proof, there are two categories are available. One is contrapositive, another one is contradiction. Under this contrapositive, they have given two kinds of statements here, P and Q, but you want to assume that negation of Q, which is true. Then using the statement, you want to prove that the negation of P is true. So this is what you want to do it here. So this is logically equal to the first statement. If P is true, then Q is also true. So this is a form of contrapositive. Coming into the picture of contradiction, this is totally different. You want to assume that negation of the given statement P, only one statement is available, that is P. So you want to take it as this is negation of P is false. Then you want to prove that the given statement is true. All obviously we'll be getting the statement will be true. So likewise you want to prove this kind of contradictive proof. Then coming into the next slide. So this is another kind of proof which is available in mathematical models. This is actually a very important proof for us, inductive proof. So for this case, you assume that you have n number of elements. For the least element, that is called as here n naught. So the first step, you want to prove that n naught, for n naught the given statement is true. So this statement is called as basis. Already we have seen in last class. And coming into the next line, the next line says about, for some integer k up to the length k, you want to assume that the given statement is true. So if P of k is true, then what we want to do is P of k plus 1 is true. So the very simple example, 1 plus 2 plus up to n, which is equal to n into n plus 1 by 2, we have proved in last class. I have given some homework assignments also. I hope you people have completed. But anyway, if you are not completed after winding this class, you go and complete the assignments. Then only you can able to understand that why we have chosen as up to k elements as true. Then how the k plus 1 will be proved by the algorithm. So this is what our actually before going to start our TOC, these are all the terminologies we should have. That's why I have taken proofs, types of proofs. So today we can start a theory of computation. The first element, the basic model which is available in theory of computation is finite automata. So we can start with finite automata. So before starting this concept of finite automata working principles, we should have the meaning of some terminologies. Those terminologies are alphabets, strings, and language. So first, let us see one by one. First, what is an alphabet? So you know that these are all the only characters or symbols. Suppose if you are considering our speaking language English, which consists of 26 alphabets. So those alphabets are called as characters or only symbols. But here we are dealing about mathematical models, so those characters are called here symbols. So all the alphabets available in the language, which is called as here symbols. So symbol is a terminology here. For example, for our English language, all the capital letters are symbols. So A to Z, see the first example. Then come to second example, small a to Z. It's a it's also again will be coming under the concept of symbols. Then all the numerical numbers also symbols. Consider the fourth one. While considering fourth one, only the fourth example consists of 0 and 1, so which is called as binary alphabet. For the purpose of simplicity, throughout our TOC, we are going to consider binary alphabet, which may consist of either zeros or ones, or small a's or b's. Another important point is here, we want to denote our symbols, by only small letters. So either zeros or ones, or small a's or small b's. So this is the these are all the types of characters we are going to deal hereafter. Okay. So another examples, some other examples I have given at the bottom line. A, B, C. It's a 3-character language. Then A and B. Small A and B. Again, it is a kind of binary alphabet. So if you want to denote your symbol, means you should use only small letters. Then again, 0, 1, 2 are the 3-letter language. Yeah, coming to the point of strings, you know that characters, actually it's a group of characters are called strings here, the set of strings over an alphabet. So over an alphabet, the entire thing is called as here sigma. Over an alphabet, sigma is the set of list, each element of which is a member of sigma. So the whole collection of combination of alphabets, called as collection of strings, is called actually sigma here. So sigma may consist of any number of strings. So strings can be represented by within curly bracket, then all the each and every string, separated by commas. So strings shown with actually collection of strings. So in between characters we should not give any commas, but different strings, separated by commas. And also important point here, sigma closure, the second point. See the second point, sigma closure, this is called sigma star, is called sigma closure, denotes the set of strings. So it may contain only one string or any number of strings, already I told you, no. So the any number of strings can be given by sigma closure, this is called sigma closure. Then see the third point, epsilon, the small E symbol, is called epsilon. Epsilon stands for, here is empty string, which means that without any symbol, there is a bag which consists of nothing. The meaning of epsilon is, for epsilon, it is a string, will be considered as string, but no value for this. So length of this string is 0. Please remember this. Epsilon is the empty string. Length of the string is 0. Then coming to the last point, sigma closure, I told you, no. So consider our strings are combination of only zeros and ones, so that within curly bracket 0 comma 1, only two symbols I have taken. Then 0 comma 1 whole closure, which is equal to what it will produce, or what can actually this kind of string set, sigma closure, this is actually sigma closure. Sigma closure which is equal to, see the last line, I am explaining last line, sigma closure which is equal to, always whatever may be the closure, will produce epsilon as its first string. So first you want to concentrate 0 length string, so epsilon is 0 length. Come to the 1 length, there are two symbols, so obviously 0 is 1 length string, then the third string 1 is 1 length string. So that first it will produce 0 length string, followed by 1 length string, then 2 length strings, combination of zeros and ones. So there are 2 per n combinations, so 2 letters, so 4 combinations you will be getting, 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1. So length of these 4, is 2. And coming to the point of 3 length strings, then again combination of zeros and ones, you may get 8 combinations, then 16 combinations of 4 length strings, then 32 combinations of 5 length strings, and likewise it will be moving. So the last one, language. So language as a again subset of zero closure, not for the not including all the strings. It's a subset of sigma closure. For example, already I explained, set of strings. Suppose we can say that this is example for language, set of strings of zeros and ones. So the property of this language is this language consists of zeros and ones, so that I have given the set of strings of zeros and ones. So example, so what it will be, it is in the form of L, which is equal to, see the third line, L which is equal to sigma. I told you that sigma is a zero length string. Then coming to the next line, 0 comma 1. So this is the form of one length strings. Then two length strings followed by three length strings and four length strings up to n number of any number of lengths, can be formed by this kind of language. So language consists of zeros or ones in any form. Any number of zeros and ones can be represented by L closure or sigma closure. This sigma closure consists of epsilon 0 1 0 0 0 1 1 0 1 1 and so on. So likewise it will be moving. So the points I have given at bottom, how many zero length strings are available in this L. So you know that only one zero length, always we have only one zero length string, that is your epsilon. Then find out the one length strings, zeros and ones. Find out the two length strings here, totally two letter combinations, so that four number of two length strings you will be getting. Then three length strings, eight combinations. So likewise it will be moving. So up to this I have given the concepts of what is an alphabet, what is string, and what is language. So these are all the terminologies we should have before starting a finite automata. Now come to the important part in TOC. Our basic model in TOC is finite automata. So already this theory of computation, I told you that this theory of computation is actually consists of only mathematical models. So that the first mathematical model what we are going to see is finite automata. So what is this finite automata? This is the concept I'm explaining now. What is finite automata? Finite automaton is a singular form. Finite automata is plural form. Finite automaton is a mathematical model of a system with discrete inputs and outputs. So the first line explains you it is a mathematical model with discrete inputs and outputs. So you will be having some inputs there, and also one model is available. After processing, you will be getting some outputs. So this is what after seeing this first line we'll be able to say here. Then come to the second line. We have some inputs, so this is the model. It receives input as a string from the input file, so it can able to receive input as a string. That is the point here. So your input is string here. Then come to the third point. It gives us output according to the decision of whether the string is acceptable by the model or not, So after processing, this model can able to say that whether the string is acceptable by the model or not. So only the decision is based on according to the some conditions will be given to the model. So according to the conditions, this model can able to take a decision whether the string is acceptable by the model or not. So inputs are here strings. Output will be in the form of whether the string is acceptable by the model or not. Then we know the input and we know the output. Then coming to the main part here, it has a mechanism. See the last point, it has a mechanism. Already I told you, some rules will be given here, So it has a mechanism to read input from the input file. So it can able to read the input from input file, which is a string. So input a string here over and given alphabets and check whether the given input string belongs to the language or not. If it is so, it will give S as output, otherwise no as output. So after seeing this slide, what you'll be able to tell about this slide. So one model, actually, imagine, just imagine this model. This is a model which is available. So what is an input to this model? From this slide, we can able to say that strings are input to this mathematical model. Then what is an output you will be getting this model? So only two cases of outputs you may get. One is yes, another one is no. So your inputs are strings and output may be either yes or no kind of output only you will be getting. So then the last point, what is the mechanism it has to follow? So it has to verify that the given inputs, given input strings, whether those input strings belongs to the language. Now you know that what is an string, what is language and all. So it will verify the strings which are belongs to the language or not. Suppose the strings are belongs to the language means which will give yes as output. Suppose your strings, actually the language doesn't contains any kind of the inputs what we are giving, in that situation it will give no as output. So strings belongs to the language means yes as output. String doesn't, actually your language does not contain any kind of inputs, in that situation only it will give no as outputs. So this is the mathematical model. It can able to verify that the given input belongs to the language or not. That is the final conclusion. Yeah. This is a block diagram of finite automata. See the top of the portion. It's input tape is available. Input tape is divided into many number of cells. Actually, this is your storage space. So the storage space can be input tape. Here, the storage space is called input tape. So input tape is divided into many cells. Each cell can hold only one symbol here, so that 0 1 0 1 anything can be given here. Only one character it can able to hold. Then under the input tape, one read write head is available. It is a pointer or cursor, whatever it may be. For this case, control head, read write head, control pointers, all are same here. So it is a pointer. It can able to point the current symbol always to be processed. So this is a pointer which is used to point the location, location, the symbol which is available in that location, no, is a symbol to be processed next. That's the meaning of this pointer. Then come to the finite state control. It is a actually finite automata here. The rules will be given here only. So according to the rules, it can able to take a decision whether the strings belongs to the language or not. So the output of finite control will be either string accept or reject. So this is a model of finite automata. Yeah, it already we have seen about finite automata consists of major components: input file, read write head or control head, and a third one is finite state control. Okay, let us see one by one. Input file. Input file is divided into cells. Each cell can hold only one symbol. Already I told you. Then coming to the read write head or control head, both are same. Or some pointers. It reads only one symbol at a time. This is very important. It reads only one symbol at a time and moves its pointer to the next symbol. Then only we will be getting the next symbol to be processed. So that this is a pointer which points to the symbol is to be processed next. Likewise, cursor. Then coming to the second point, usually we'll follow the left to right sequence, So left to right sequence of symbols is the input string to be processed. So the same process we want to follow. Left to right sequence. And important point is we cannot change the input strings which are present in the input string. Only we can read the symbol which are present in the input tape, but we can't change anything in the input string. Some disturbances are coming. Please mute your mics. Yeah. Third component is finite state control. This is a actually major part here. Finite state control. See the second line. It is a control unit which is said to be in one of its finite set of internal states. So n number of states can be actually n number of this control unit, can be represented by n number of states. So always this control unit which is said to be in one of its finite set of internal states, which will be in any one of your internal states. So can be represented by any number of states, but always before starting this machine, you will be in initial state. Suppose after completing all your processes, after completing its process, finally it will be in final state or accepting state. So likewise, you want to represent your language here. So the third point, automata, then this automata can change its state in a defined way. So any one of your, which is actually this control unit, this is a control unit which is in any one of your finite set of internal states, then it can able to change its states in a defined way. That is why the rules are required here. According to the rules only, this finite automata can change its state. Then it will decide which symbol is read next and where to move. So all those things will be given by the rules here. So I told you that input to the finite control machine and output from the finite control machine. So what is an input here is we want to give two inputs here. Actually two parameters. One is input symbol, another one is present state. Input symbol, present state. So it has to see that where actually we are residing. That will be given by present state. At that time, what is your current input symbol? So two things it has to know. Then only it can able to take a decision. Then come to the output. So output will be like whether it has to maintain the same state or move on to the next state. So this is what about finite control. Finite control, input to the finite control will be current input symbol, present state. Output will be it has to take a decision. It will take decision, it has to take a decision whether it has to move its current present state to next state or not, or maintaining the same state. Likewise, it has to take a decision. Suppose if we are completing all the symbols, all the processing all the symbols, then after completing all the symbols, either you will be in empty cell or end marker. That time only this machine has to announce that either yes or no. You know that what is the meaning of yes and what is the meaning of no. So it is a finite control. It has to see about two parameters, that is the input to finite control, input symbol, present state, and it has to take a decision as output, like maintaining the same state or moving on to the next state. So always the actually this is the property of finite control, always which is in any one of your internal state. That's the main point here. Yeah, I have explained about what is finite automata, how it will be. Yeah, guys, so many disturbances. Yeah, I have explained what is finite automata and how it will be functioning theoretically, but mathematically we should know about how it will be working, how it can be represented by the mathematical models and so on. So for that we have three different models here. One is deterministic finite automata, another one is non-deterministic finite automata. The third part is non-deterministic finite automata with epsilon. So these are all the types we are going to see hereafter. So I started already. What is finite automata? This is also finite automata, but this is the definition of finite automata. Mathematically, how your finite automata is defined. This is actually a very, very, very important question. Always your university, is asking this question repeatedly, so that you should not write any theory here, because already we discussed what is finite automata. But if they are asking define finite automata, means you have to write this definition. So let us see one by one. Finite automata. First, let us start with deterministic finite automata. Simply, this is called DFA. So DFA is a quintuple of. So quin means 5. So DFA is a 5 tuple of. What is this DFA? Always the mathematical symbol M, capital M, which is used to denote any letter can be used. But in this TOC, author is Ullmann. Ullmann is following M is for finite automata. So M is used for denoting your finite automata. So we can follow the Ullmann's notations here. Any can be any letter can be used, but Ullmann is following capital M. So we can follow capital M for representing your finite automata. So M equal to Q sigma. First letter is capital Q, second letter sigma, third letter, the important letter del. It's a small del, Greek del, then followed by Q naught, then followed by F. One by one, let us see what are all the symbols. What is the meaning of those symbols here? So capital Q is finite set of states. So already I told you that finite state control is in any one of your internal states. So we should have the number of states which are available or which are used to denote your finite automata is required. So total number of states, how many states we are going to use for designing your machine is important. So how many states, so total number of states. That is why I have given the statement finite set of. We know the limit, how many number of states are required, we know before designing the machine. We can able to know, so that Q is finite set of states. Then sigma, come to the second point. Sigma is actually is a alphabets, set of strings is sigma, is set of input symbols called alphabets. So sigma is set of input symbols. Then del is a transition function. So already I told you, like finite state control machines, rules will be given there. So what is the form of rule is del. What is the form of rule is can be given by del. So del is the transition function, which is a total function from Q cross sigma, which tends to Q. So the meaning is input to this del function, which takes two parameters, Q cross sigma. So input to this function will be Q and sigma. Q is number of states. So what we are going to see is at that time where we are residing. So the present state will be given by capital Q. The current symbol, sigma denotes your current symbol. Current symbol will be given by sigma. So we want to see about two things here. One is present state, where we are in. Another one is at that time, what is your current symbol. So two things will be your input to this transition function. Then output of Q cross sigma, which tends to capital Q as output. So the form of output will be either again capital Q, either state, whether we are maintaining the same state, or we can move on to the next state will be given by the output. That is why see the see the definition. Yeah, finite state control. uh, Third, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth point. The input to the finite control will be the input symbol and present state. So Q cross sigma, two things you want to see here. Then output will be second point. See the second point of output. Output will be maintaining the same state or move on to the next state. So that will be given by capital Q. So that input to the transition function is two parameters, input symbol and present state. Output will be moving on to the next state or maintaining the same state. So that this transition function can be given by Q cross sigma, which tends to Q again. So that I have given number of finite set of states here. So what are all the symbols we are going to use? We have given as sigma. Then the format of transition functions, no, we have given here. So from among all the states, we have to represent our initial state. So initial state can be given by Q naught. Obviously Q naught belongs to the capital Q. Compulsorily your Q naught should be in capital Q. So that is your initial state. Any number of final states can be given here. So a set of final states, which is a subset of capital Q. So F is subset of capital Q. So this is what your definition of finite automata or deterministic finite automata. So DFA is a quintuple of capital M equal to Q sigma del Q naught F, where Q is finite set of states, sigma is finite set of symbols, del is a function which is in the form of Q cross sigma, which tends to Q. Q naught is initial state, F is set of accepting states. So likewise, you have to define your finite automata. Then coming to the point of representing your finite automata. So we know the concept, what are all the symbols are used to denote the finite automata. But there are two different forms are available. Representation forms are available. One is transition diagram, another one is transition table. Let us see transition diagram first, then transition table. Transition diagram, it is a directed acyclic graph. It is like DAG diagrams, you know. So all the vertices are represent these states. See the first point. Here, vertices in directed acyclic graph. Here we are representing those are all the states here. Then the arcs labeled with an input alphabets here actually showing that those are all transitions. Then coming to the third point, initial state will be given by empty single incoming arc. Empty single incoming arc is initial state. Then final state is indicated by double circles. So this is a transition diagrams. So which consist of, you know that diagram directed acyclic graph consists of actually vertices are connected by edges, you know. So likewise your transition diagrams are actually states are there. States are connected by transitions with input with labeled actually labeled with an input alphabet, and initial state is given by empty single incoming arc, and final state is given by double circles. So one by one we'll see. Transition tables, actually it is a kind of a tabular format. Rows are representing your states, columns are input symbol. We'll see with an example. You actually need not to worry about the design of finite automata here. Later we'll see about how the machines will be designed, but we can consider in a straight away, we can consider this finite automata. See the finite automata, see the diagram. I'm explaining one by one. States are available. 3 number of states are available here. They are Q0, Q1, Q2. So from the diagram, we'll be able to say that Q0, Q1, Q2, these are all the states. So states are represented by only circles. Initial state will be represented by incoming arrow, empty arrow, incoming empty arrow. And accepting state, you know, any number of states can be act as accepting states. For this case, Q2 is accepting state. So can be represented by accepting state, can be represented by double lined circles. So this is what we want to know about from this diagram. Initial state is Q0, accepting state is Q2, Q0, Q1, Q2 are states. Then the labeled arrows, which is called transition. So Q0 to Q1, see the diagram, Q0 to Q1. The labeled arc is C. So those are all actually input symbols here. So after seeing the input symbol C, this is a mathematical model, finite automata, can able to move from Q0 to Q1. So after seeing its input C only, it can able to move. Then suppose you assume that you are in Q0. After getting symbol A, where you can able to move from Q0 to again Q0. So this is the concept of maintaining the same state. For getting A, this finite automata can able to maintain its the same state. And after getting B, you assume that you are in Q0. After getting B, you can able to maintain only Q0. Then after seeing C only, it can able to move on Q1. So you assume that now you are in Q1. For getting A, it can able to maintaining its same state. For getting B, again it is maintaining its Q1. After seeing C only, it can able to move on to the Q2. Now you assume that you are in Q2. Whatever may be your symbol, either A or B, that slash, I'm explaining Q2 now. Either A or B or C. So that can be given by slash or comma or plus. Just you note it down. Comma plus this slash, all are having same meaning here. So either A or B or C, whatever may be your symbol, it cannot able to move from Q0 to anywhere else. So it is maintaining its Q0. Okay, I have explained what is an input, what is your final state, what is your actually initial state, what is your final state, what is the meaning of aux, self loop and all. So from this diagram, now we can define our finite automata with the help of capital M, So capital M is a Q sigma del Q naught. F is a format, actual general format. Capital Q can be actually can be given by states, number of states present in this diagram, Q0, Q1, Q2. So what are all the symbols we have used here? From the diagram, the symbols are small a, small b, small c, so that the sigma is input symbol, So sigma is a set of input symbols. So a comma b comma c are input symbols here. Three characters we have used. So three symbols we have used. So sigma is a comma b comma c. Start state is Q naught. F is actually accepting states. Then your transition table. I told you, it can be represented by transition table. Transition tables, rows are here states Q0, Q1, Q2. Columns are symbols A, B, C. See the table, row heading and column heading. Column heading are input symbols. Row headings are Q0, Q1, Q2 states here. So the meaning of first entry I am explained. Q0, comma A. What is Q0, comma A? Q0 is a current, actually present state. A is a current symbol. For getting A, it can able to only maintaining the same Q0. So Q0, comma A, see the entry of Q0, comma A, again Q0. So likewise, you want to fill up your the entries of the table. Yeah, Q0, comma A is Q0. Q0, comma, see the Q0 first. Q0, comma B is again maintaining same state. Q0, comma C is there only you can able to move on to the next state. So Q1. If we have completed now Q0, come to Q1. Q1, comma A is A. Q1, comma B is B. Q1, comma C is Q2. So these are all the functions, So del of, while writing the, whatever we are describing is okay. Q0, comma A, Q0, comma B. But while writing the descriptions, it is a function of del of Q1, comma C is Q2. Then come to Q2. for all the cases q2 comma a, q2 comma b, q2 comma c, del of q2 comma a, q2 comma b, q2 comma c, all are q2 only. So likewise, either we can represent our finite automata in terms of transition diagram. So for this case, I have given transition diagram. From the transition diagram, you can able to say that the form of tabular form of finite automata or the representation of finite automata in terms of m is equal to q sigma del q naught f. Likewise, you want to represent either transition diagram or transition table. This is what another example. So I think we are running out of time. This is another example. See the diagram. For this case, initial and final also same. Q naught is initial and also final. Anything can be considered. So the arrow indicates that initial, and double circle circle, is called double line circle is called final state. Yeah, see the transition table. For this transition table, the first row consists of arrow mark and star asterisk symbol, So the meaning of arrow is q naught is initial. Star indicates that q naught is also actually q naught is also final state. So that we want to represent our initial state and final state in transition table like this. So likewise, it can also be represented by del functions. Only 4 cases are available: q0, 0, q0, 1, q1, 0, q1, 1. So I think I'll up to this, up to slide number 18. I will stop my session. If you have any doubts, you can ask me now.